Da 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 da. Greetings and aloha. What's going on? It's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com. I'm here in Manila, in a greetings and aloha. Stand by. It's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com. Jeez, I think YouTube's working, dude. Let me also mute that just in case it starts autoplaying again. So I'm here. And I thought I'd just flip on the breakers for a couple of reasons. I haven't done a live stream in forever. I miss doing a live stream. Gracie's not here. I'm traveling solo, which is by desire and by design, actually. And it should allow for more benefit than not, actually. So I'm pretty excited about that. Hey, Dave. What's going on, man? Thank you for coming by. 6 a.m. I think where you are, right? 7:07 a.m. here in Manila, and I'm in Makati, the area of Metro Manila that some of you may be familiar with. I will tell you that if I have to come to Manila, I come to Makati, and I try and stay in Makati. Manila is one of my more favorite cities to get the hell out of. And I'm here for 6 a.m. in Thailand, in Surin. You guys have your own time zone, right? I know you have your own kitchen, so you must have your own time zone. So I'm here for a number of reasons. Hey, how you doing, Tito Chris? So if you guys don't know, right? So as in many foreign languages, foreign other than English, there are certain words that symbolize sort of respect, right? So if in Thailand, for example, and in Spanish, there will be certain things that you use, certain words that you use, sometimes at the end of a sentence, sometimes at the beginning of a sentence, sometimes when addressing someone else, that basically convey some degree of respect. And so in Thailand, very simple example of that is that if you're a man, you sort of end a sentence, you end a statement with krap, right? Clap. And if you're a woman, then you end it with ka. And and that sort of signifies some degree of formality, right? And so in Spanish, instead of like using the tu, right, tu, instead of saying you do it a little more formally. So you say usted, right? Hello, soy. Hello, mafia. I'm a friend of the mafia. Indeed, a Wild Mike's appearance, as you know, right? So I do more video. Oh, look at the heart going on there. I think that's from Facebook, right? Thank you for 4 of you that are watching. I thought I saw an 8 up there earlier. Did I really disappoint people that quickly? They were just like, my God, he's wearing this crazy, boring shirt. Get a haircut, for God's sake. And the audio may be lousy. I have no idea. I travel with like just one microphone. And my headphones I don't have on because I can't listen back to myself, which is probably helpful to sort of squelch my ego. What's bugging me is this light I have and fire suppressant above my head. I need to stand. I need to sit right here. Don't you have proper 3 consideration? It's dead midnight here. Live. Thank you for everything. Hello, MedTech. Good to see you, man. I love MedTech. And my fantasy throughout the course of my life will be to convince him that he shouldn't describe himself in the way I label it, negative way that he does. I know that he does it tongue in cheek, but I always give him a hard time. And cue in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, failures. Fellow failures. So I'm here in Manila for a couple of reasons. The first is to get a visa at the Thai embassy that I was unable to get inside of Thailand because I entered Thailand and continued to renew my visa status in Thailand with a retirement visa. I am migrating to a business visa, which if you enter Thailand as a retiree, it's impossible. Legally, right, to migrate a retirement visa to a business visa. So that's actually not completely true. If I were able to prove to them that I was eligible for a smart visa, which actually I could have done, then I could have gotten a smart visa for a minimum of 6 months and then potentially extended it to either 1 year or 2 years. And so at the end of the day, I'm getting a visa that is very much the result, a similar result of that, a similar type of B visa, which will basically allow me to work for a startup, which is part of the BOI, part of the Board of Investment, which arguably is very similar and under a very similar umbrella to the Smart Visa scheme, the Start Visa program. So anyway, at the end of the day, I needed to physically leave Thailand to get the visa that I wanted to get, which then allows my wonderful spouse, Mrs. Gracie Upates Somerville, ladies and gentlemen, to be able to have a visa of similar status and of similar length, so 2 years. So that's the one reason I'm here in Manila. That's one reason I'm outside of the country. It's the other reason that I'm here in Manila and I'm going to the Thai embassy tomorrow. They could not get that what they sorry. You can't get that because they said you're not smart. Yeah. Trust me. While they do promote people that have some degree of pedigree and abilities, I will submit to you that it's a lot. You are definitely able to get a smart visa, Dave, because it's a lot more about financial status, which as someone who just installed a brand new house, I'm quite certain that you're not starving. The other reason I'm here is on this live stream is I wanted to share with you guys, any of you guys, gals, the process that I went through to get the Thailand pass. And I will tell you that the biggest issue, the biggest disappointment I had with the Thailand pass is the negative experiences that I listened to, that I read, that I internalized from other people on Facebook about their level of stress, which I let increase my level of stress, my level of anxiety. When really all I had in the past is experiences and anecdotes, personal anecdotes, that indicated to me that everything is going to be okay. But I let it kind of stress me out. Sorry, I'm moving cables. Plus, I wanted you to be able to see the sprinkler system here and let you know that I'm OSHA. Greetings, fellow failures. Hello, RedTech. So what is the Thailand Pass? If you don't know, basically it's a QR code that you receive, the ability that you receive to enter Thailand based on basically about 4 or 5 qualifications. You have to have a passport. You have to upload that. So I don't really consider that a qualification, because that's like saying, well, you need a driver's license. Okay, well, you know, if you're over 16 and you live where I lived, where I grew up, then your desire to get a driver's license is simply the next indicated thing in your life. Single guy for you. Well, thank goodness, because the only thing I have in my life now is a married woman. So you upload your passport. You also, now, as of this video, as of March 20th, the requirement to come into Thailand today and for the next few days, at least, is a negative RT-PCR test that is less than 72 hours old prior. Thank you very much for the congratulations. I agree with you there, Dave, and thank you. You need to book a SHA Plus or AQ type hotel, whereby included in the price, included in the reservation, is a additional RT-PCR test, which they administer as you leave the airport, landing in either Bangkok or Don Muang. The result of which you wait for at the hotel for basically 1 day, 1 night. And you can actually pay an extra 2,500 baht and get that test result within 3 hours. And that is referred to as the Test and Go program that many of you probably already know about. And the Thailand Pass is a website. You upload your passport, your flight reservation, your hotel reservation, your vaccination certificate. And for the most part, you then just wait. There's a service out there called aq.in.th or tp.in.th. And this is a service, I believe it's provided by a private company. And for an additional, 3,000 baht, basically 2,000. I think it's either 2,000. I think their range initially, if you engage with them with less than 7 days to apply for the Thailand Pass, then for I believe it's like 2,750 baht, they will push it along, and I would argue that service, if you in fact apply for your Thailand Pass 7 working days or more prior to your arrival in Thailand, I would argue that it is completely unnecessary to engage with the services to speed it along, unless of course you just want it early. And I would say that probably 49% of their business model is taking advantage, and I want to clarify that I'm not saying that in a negative way, but they're taking advantage of the fact that people do in fact get anxious about coming into Thailand. They're afraid they're not going to get their Thailand Pass in time. They've heard stories about friends of theirs or other people that they don't even know who apparently self-report with some degree of validity, I hope, that they didn't get their Thailand Pass in time and they missed their flight. Now, I would argue that the majority of those people that complain about that scenario are ones that did not apply ahead of time. Dave, fear not, I will likely be talking when you get back. I'm already married. It's just a ceremony of sacrifice of the cow and 3 pigs. Thank you very much. Consume many red horse for the guests. Yeah, what's funny is I'm trying to think what kind of beer we had there. I don't even know. Gracie and my brother-in-law brought some, but I don't remember what the vintage was. I don't remember what flavor of alcohol showed up. Because here's what I did. And I'm going to put a text post of this actually on my website, and I'm going to share it with this one Facebook group that you basically join if you engage with tp.in.th or aq.asq.in.th or whatever. It's a service that also has a line group. And for a certain amount of money that they will do things. I will tell you the service I used by them was partner hotels that they have fully vetted, that the minute you hit submit and make a reservation for a hotel of, like, at the time there was like 5, there's probably like 10 now. You immediately get a confirmation. Immediate confirmation is basically what I was looking for. And that is the reservation at the hotel that I wanted happened right away, which one could argue, look, if you make a reservation at a Marriott, or it happens right away. Okay, so I could have gotten that on my own. But it also is a piece of paper that says included in this person's reservation for a certain amount of money. For me, it was 4,500 baht. He gets 1 night in our hotel, in our SHA Plus approved hotel. He gets a RT-PCR test result, in the first day. And 5 days from now, or we will give him an ATK test. And within 5 days, or in 5 days, or 6 days, or whatever, he will stick something up of his nose and go through the process and have a result on the little strip that tells you whether he's pregnant or not. It's one of those striped things. That I will then take a picture of and upload to the Morchana app. We will provide that test to him, which, if you don't know, you can buy that test at many 7-Elevens and many pharmacies in Thailand for approximately 99 baht. Okay. and you take a picture of that, and then you upload the result, and that basically is your proof that you do not have COVID, or you not, whatever. You're COVID free, I guess, and you're not infecting others unintentionally. And then you can come into Thailand and do whatever the hell you want. To be fair, after the first day, you can come into Thailand and do whatever you want. Additionally, through any process that you get a test, any hospital, any lab or whatever, when you enter Thailand, you have the ability to pay an additional 2,500, I believe is the majority of the prices, 2,500 to 3,000 baht, and you're able to get your RT-PCR test result in 3 hours. So, for an example, I fly in, actually get into Bangkok, my flight is scheduled to land, and I believe it's been quite on time lately, at 7 a.m. on Saturday. And upon entering, then, of course, I go through the, hey, here are all my paperwork. There's all of my paperwork that I just spoke of, even though I've uploaded it to your website, and you guys have a copy of it already, and therefore you've given me a QR code that you should just be able to scan and reference all of this documentation. But nonetheless, I still need to bring it with me because you still live in 1976, as far as it relates to documentation that you somehow need to keep on people's behavior in your country. And trust me, the United States is also very guilty of this in many instances as well. Hey, Nino. Buongiorno. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly, but I believe I do know the spelling of it. 6,000 baht. What is that? The price of being able to get a test result in 3 hours or less? Oh, Marty messaged me. Now I have to research that. Well, hold on. I'll tell you what. Let me share with Marty the live stream so that he can potentially come in and chat. Marty Johnson is a buddy of mine on Facebook, and I'm a big fan. If you want to chat, buddy. Let me also share it with Johnny. If you want to chat. So thank you for that. Thank you for that what's update, Nico. Indeed. Hello, Dave. Dave's going to be right back. Dave's going to BRB. LOL. OMG. On running cruise ships, not ferry in Manila. I have zero knowledge of that. Sorry about that. You have friends that paid 6,000 baht to get the 3,000? Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Well, here's the deal. I'm quite certain you could pay an unlimited amount of money. I will tell you that the offers that I've received to get my test all had 2,500 baht on it to get it in 3 hours. So I land at 7 in the morning, and let's say for the sake of argument, I get all the way through that, through immigration, at my hotel by, say, 9 in the morning. Then if I paid them another 2,500 baht, I could effectively be done if I get a negative test, knock on whatever. I anticipate a negative PCR test. I could leave the hotel at noon, but I'm paying for the room. It's the Holiday Inn Express on Sukhumvit 11. I want to say either Sukhumvit 11 or Sukhumvit 8. I believe it's Sukhumvit 11. Regardless, it's the one, down off of Sukhumvit, down 11, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 blocks. It's like kind of at the end there. Not at the end, it's at the corner. It's a nice enough facility, and if you guys know anything about Holiday Inns, you know that brand is actually pretty nice. It's comfortable. It's not sort of the generic 2 to 3 star experience of Holiday Inns in the United States. I would submit to you that Holiday Inns here in Thailand are more what you might experience at Sheraton's overall in the United States. At least that's been my experience. Even prior to the remodel down in Patong Beach, Holiday Inn was a pretty nice property down there. Hey, John, how you doing? Didn't know you were live. Of course not, because YouTube does not have the ability to instantiate a cron job when any one of their people that produces videos. Amazing. I'm live. Hail Mary, man. Congrats again. Great to see you here. Good to see you, Dennis. Thanks for coming by, man. It's not super late for you, right? When it's early for me, it's late for you. I know it's like 6:30 in Thailand, which is of course super early for any white YouTuber to do a live stream, unless of course he's a true white YouTuber, in which case he's going through his cost of living for the month on YouTube, which is apparently a requirement for a expat YouTuber. This is a virtual avatar. The real one is in the wax museum. Not a big fan of wax museums. I can understand the neatness of it. In fact, I even had some huge event at the, what's the one in the United States? What's the brand of wax museum in the United States called? It's like a woman's name, right? Jeez, I can't remember that. Honestly, on my new phone. Oh, hey, good to see you. What kind? Did you go with... Oh, I see. On your new phone, you shut off all notifications. Fair enough. That makes sense. The problem is the PCR test prices are not regulated. Well, no, I mean, well, neither are many items in a capitalist society. How much did you pay for your Volkswagen when you bought it? Oh, I got a great deal. He told me not to tell anybody. In fact, when I left, the salesman said, I've never given anybody a great deal like yours, so just don't tell anybody. But for you, so cheap. And then you compare your price of the items that you bought and get real proud of yourself when you lie to your other friends about how much cheaper you paid for your... Oh, I get it. I'm just giving you a hard time. This is awesome. Oh my God, it's only 11:30, dude. You're living the dream. Samsung S22, nice phone. So it's, yeah, I mean, I'm just tongue in cheek. I'm just giving you a hard time. But you're right. It's not. And, you know, I mean, I can tell you right now that like, if I dial back my integrity meter, you know, I'm more than willing to sell someone dog shit for $500 if they'll buy it. But at the end of the day, I also like to sleep at night, you know, so I'm just like, you know, I mean, look, if he wants to pay, I would prefer to get more money for the used car that Gracie and I are selling right now than A, I paid for it, or B, what the majority of the people believe that it's worth, because I believe it's worth more because I would like to make a profit. I believe that was a WhatsApp ping. And, oh, Gracie's doing laundry. Let me tell you something about Gracie doing laundry. I think, I want to send this to her. I think that all of us should send Gracie a message if you guys are able to do that on social media. And you should tell her that the way she should do laundry is to bring her laundry to the place that does laundry and pay them to do laundry. They do 7.5 kilos of laundry for 180 pesos, which is approximately $5.50 to do 7.5 kilos, or basically 17 pounds. Is that right? 17 pounds of laundry. 16.5 pounds of laundry. See my question above? I think you missed it. I definitely did. Thank you very much for doing that. If you guys have that experience, please send me another one. Ha, there you go. Thank you very much, MedTech. Can the vaccine certificate be a photo of the physical? I don't have an e-certificate. The short answer is my experience since getting our certificate at Bang Se in the giant train station, right? Grand Central in Bangkok, which is the Central Vaccination Center. I believe it's 4 letters that they abbreviated, but at the end of the day, it's like CVC, Grand Central Vaccination Center, whatever, where Gracie and I both got our dual injections of, I don't like the word jab. That sounds like, dude, can I have a hit of that pizza? It just sounds so, I don't know. Anyway. It lacks finesse, I would argue, using the word jab versus injection. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me and like Tommy Bahama. We have a yellow piece of paper that basically says the day and the vintage of the flavor of injection that we got, vaccine that we got. First one, second one, and then that we are fully vaccinated. And, you know, that's from Thailand, right? And I've used that piece of paper. I've used photocopies of that piece of paper, both in color and in black and white. And I've used a picture on my phone of that piece of paper to use whenever anyone has asked for it. And so that's here in the Philippines as well as in Thailand after we got it. and here's what's funny about the Thailand pass. When they ask you to upload your proof of vaccination, they encourage you to upload the QR code that apparently is part of your vaccination. Now, whether you have an e-QR code or whether you have a printed QR code, they want you to upload that because they state that it will increase the speed with which you get the result of your Thailand pass. On the piece of paper that you get from Thailand that says you're vaccinated, there's a QR code. That QR code has zero information about your vaccination. That QR code basically takes you to a line group that allows you to add the, I believe it's the Ministry, I was going to say Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's not correct. It allows you to add the, what is it called again? It allows you to add a government agency that gives information about vaccinations, which I can't remember the name of it. I was checking my line group, my line app. So it's sort of funny, right? They're like, hey, rest of the world, the QR codes that you have, you should totally upload those. But unfortunately, if you got your vaccine in Thailand, well, then anything that you basically give us is Matt. Thank you, Matt Tech, Madame Tussauds. I'm saving, dude. No, I appreciate that. I know. Yes, you are, honey, but unfortunately, you also harm your arm when you do. Well, we have the machine, so I appreciate that. But time versus money. I always still think of that. I love you, honey. No restrictions here in Switzerland. Oh, yeah, so no mask and no all that. Yeah. Free of certification, free of vaccine. Great. I guess. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's better. I don't honestly know. I can tell you right now that Gracie and I had zero medical concern, zero health concern about getting this, transmitting it, harming ourselves from getting it. I was like, look, we can get the shot for free. Thank you very much, Thailand, by the way, considering I'm a tourist and my wife is full on. I mean, I was a retiree. Okay, I'm there for a year. But Gracie's there on a tourist visa, getting the COVID stamps every 60 days that extend her, extend her stay ability well beyond what is normal in Thailand, quite for 60 days. And you get one 30-day extension. Maybe in some fantasy world prior to COVID, you might be able to pay your way to an additional 30-day extension on a tourist visa or convert it. But never have you been able to stay for, 9 months in a row on a tourist visa, getting new, extension stamps every 60 days. So, COVID had some benefits. But my point is that because she's my wife and I was there and she came with me and they said, okay, where's your QR code? Where's your appointment? She said, well, I'm here with my husband. They're like, okay, come over here. And they gave her 2 free shots of Pfizer as well. But again, the QR code on that doesn't allow you any sort of message sent, read laundry. Oh, did you send me a message in WhatsApp? I love you, honey. Where do you and I communicate, Chris? We communicate on Facebook, right? I guess I'm missing what you mean by that. Everyone else have a great day. I'm actually bike riding down Hermosa Beach or Huntington Beach to Newport Beach. If you're going to Newport Beach, you're probably going from Huntington, right? Right on, honey. How versus Mike's in flying drones and robotics? So I don't know a lot about it. I actually was part of a robotics for kids type of program in a cursory way back in, when was I in grad school? 2008, 2009, 2010. Only because one of my classmates was one of these guys that provided, he was part of this group of adults that went to high schools and they taught kids about robotics. And so, but I don't know really that much about it. And I don't own a drone and I've never flown a drone. I've purchased people's ability to fly drones for us, not the least of which was for our wedding, which that's a good question, honey. If you're listening, do you know when the video guy is going to be done? Because I know that the photographer guy gave us just over 2,000 photos of our wedding. And then, so there's about 5 gigs worth of photos. And some of them are quite good. He uploaded them to sort of his page on Facebook. And then Gracie and I have shared them around. I hope you guys like them. I thought they were quite good. It was a fun event. Get some proper Halo. I'll tell you something, Mafia. I have not found decent Halo. I liked it when I first had it, but it's a whole lot of ice. Like, it's a lot of ice. Like, I like the purple ice cream. The jelly things are okay, but I'm not a huge fan. But you know what I really like is basically taking a thing of Halo, Halo, if you have it with you, just taking it basically and moving it to the side such that it's out of your vision and you can't even reach it with a spoon, and then buying donuts and eating those inside. That's pretty much the way that I consume Halo. Boss billions of dollars with this system in Thailand. People prefer to go anywhere else now. Well, right. I mean, of course. It's, look, I don't know. Yes, they've lost billions of dollars in the sense that if they budgeted the rest of their lives based on an ever increasing income of tourist dollars, much like in 2008, everyone in the United States thought that their house would increase in value 25% year over year for the rest of their lifetime, and, borrowed money on the future with that in mind. Yeah, they've lost it, and the rest of the world has lost it, and it's a real drag. And it's interesting because I look at that scenario and I think to myself, okay, I can't believe that the government is sitting around saying, let's put a program in place that reduces our global income, that reduces our taxable dollars, that reduces our validity and our ability to provide pleasure and vacationing scenarios to the world, of which Thailand is pretty much well known. I would say that there's probably 10 things that the entire world agrees on. Even people in the United States, the majority of which don't have passports, think about when they think about Thailand, right? So they probably think about rice, and they probably think about beaches, and they probably think about great, they probably think about, I don't know, some of them probably only think about Thailand and they're like, Pattaya, right? There's a lot of people that you say the word Pattaya and they have this vision of Thailand. They say the word Phuket and they have this vision of Thailand. Many of them, it's like, okay, this is a resort destination. Probably 25% of people, when they hear Phuket, they think, oh, Patong Beach, like it's the only friggin' thing that goes on in Phuket. And a lot of people that, when they hear the word Bangkok, they think of the song One Night in Bangkok. They think of the movie Hangover Part 2, right? They think of the chess game, right? Because of the video that came out of One Night in Bangkok. They potentially think of The King and I. They may think of some James Bond movie, maybe, that was filmed over here. And so, you say the word Thailand to anybody pretty much in the world, and I would submit to you that never, except if you maybe were talking with me about it, would they think to you, oh, yeah, that's the country that makes 12% of the world's tires, right? The average person doesn't think that, right? So yeah, they've left a lot of money on the table, and in the United States, like, who's made money? Where has money been lost? Well, I can tell you right now, like, used car dealers that had inventory from 3 years ago, they are swimming in cash right now. I look at Thailand and I think to myself, a lot of people, oh my God, the government, they're idiots. What are they doing? They're purposely doing this. This is the elite versus okay. But I can't think that they sit around and they think, okay, we should put these health measures effectively in place to really screw the tour operator, right? I mean, I'm sure they're not thinking that. Now, are they thinking logically, like potentially you and I might, if we were to sit down at a Starbucks and say, okay, let's come up with a plan that basically reintroduces travel and acceptance of people that want to spend tourism dollars back into our country? What are the things that we're going to do? Well, a lot of us would argue that, okay, well, we're not going to just open the floodgates and allow anyone to come in who's got, syphilis and, all of the COVID, right? Because they have enough data and enough reality to say to themselves, okay, so the last time we thought this wasn't a big deal, regardless of whether it was a real medical need or simply an anxiety and panic, people rushed into the hospitals, flooded the emergency rooms, ended up on ventilators, a very small percentage. And it limited the ability for the average citizen to go in and say, hey, so I have this gigantic rash on my right. Maybe we should take a chest x-ray, because I can't, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of factors, and I get that. And look at, there's plenty of stupid people out there. I mean, there's plenty of like really, really smart people. There's plenty of giant corporations that all of us have heard of that you look at and you're like, why in the hell did they make that stupid move? And their stock price is cratering. General Electric. I mean, that was a very well-respected company for like 100 years. And all of a sudden their stock price went to like $18 in the middle of like 2017 when the economy was like, just absolutely skyrocketing. And then these guys are like, what the hell? What kind of decisions are they making over there? These guys must be idiots too. These very smart people, these very manipulative, wealthy people, they're making stupid decisions. So, I don't know. I mean, it's not like they're like, well, I tell you what, here's what we'll do. Steve, why don't you cruise over to the to the booklet over there? Why don't you cruise over to the library, the Library of Congress for our country, and why don't you get out that manual on pandemics and ones that are like global pandemic? Flip forward to like page 19 and just tell us what we're supposed to do, because we need a, there's no plan, I mean, they're doing the best they can. That's not to say I'm not pissed that I can't do what I want when I want. I mean, don't forget, guys. I mean, yeah, the channels live my ass off. .onlychild.com. Okay. So, I mean, I really want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And so, I'm living the best life I possibly can based on the surroundings, Anyway, Patrick says Agoda gives the instant booking for Test and Go, and Agoda is linked to the Thailand Pass website for confirming your book. Absolutely correct. I'm a big fan of Agoda, one of probably the top 10 successful companies that were a startup in Thailand, if you don't know. However, they moved out of Thailand quite soon after becoming a startup and a successful startup in Thailand. So depending upon the timing, you could label Agoda as not really it was a Thailand startup, but it didn't become the unicorn that it is prior to leaving Thailand and having a different management paradigm. But I would also argue that it actually was unicorn-like when it was still here in Thailand. Oh my God, thank goodness. Whew, yes, welcome him back. I was short breaths, Dave, because I didn't want you to be gone for so long. Have some balloon boost your, forget it. But here's the thing about growing up in New England. There's a couple of things that we do there. We cook our fish so that when I moved to Southern California, I'm like, sushi? Like, there's energy and fuel to cook your fish, right? Like, you don't need to eat it raw. And in fact, wrapping rice around it, that doesn't remove the gross feature. I matured and liked eating sushi later on in life, but yeah, I'm from New England, so we cook our fish and we also cook our eggs, as it turns out. Hey, Steph, I saw you. I thought I saw you. I was like, well, does that something? Nah, there's no way. I am live on YouTube also. Yes, Steph, thank you for coming over on the book. I want to hang out with Steph. I want to hang out with him. And I love Steph, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I want to hang out with Steph when he's not drinking. Just because I don't drink, right? I mean, so I want to get like the real Steph, and nothing bad about him, but no matter who it is, when you consume enough alcohol, you become a different person. And the Steph that I've gotten to know via his sober moments online, I relate to that a little bit more, simply because, from a geek perspective, I believe that it's more of a technical persona. And so that would just be who I would want to hang out with. And not that, I find his inebriated Steph online to be actually quite entertaining, but I'm a sober guy. And get this, right? So in May, so what's the date today? Wow. And so in 2 months, I'll have 30 years sober. So you can probably understand why I'm making those statements. And it's not a negative label of anybody, but it's just a different persona that I like to have in my life. Maybe off topic, but I recommend Umbrella, manufacturer of drone videography equipment. I will look at them. Thank you very much, MedTech. Morning, Grandpa. And let me type some random characters in Russian to welcome you back to Thailand, and potentially you'll buy more real estate in Patong. Study came out recently that Thailand has the lowest birth rate ever. Someone needs to fix this. Well, how many of your buddies do you have that have come to Thailand and, potentially like after a divorce? I have a lot of friends that did this. They're like, dude, I got divorced and I got my nuts chopped off. I'm going to Patong. I'm going to Pattaya. I'm going to, soy 6. I'm going to soy cowboy. I'm going to Nana Plaza, whatever, and get my mojo back. And then you talk to them for a while, and they lob this over the net, and I find it just adorable. No, dude. I mean, I'm safe with most girls, but with her, I mean, she was different. She was totally clean, and I get it. I've made not those excuses, but I've made those rationalizations. I've made similar rationalizations of medical prowess based on emotional lack of data. But yeah, I tell you what, if you need to increase the level of births in Thailand after your divorce, head over to Pattaya. Switzerland too, swimming in cat. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places that are swimming in cat. Look, here's the deal: like when there's a global financial crisis, when there was, and when there's a financial crisis right now too, there's plenty of people. I mean, that's the reason there's the thing called The Big Short, right? Because there was someone that was like, the decrease in value of this is going to allow me, with my brain and my potential crystal ball, to be able to take advantage of all these people. Right? I mean, it's the infamous Warren Buffett I'm paraphrasing, of course. When the world is greedy, I get scared. And when the world is scared, I get greedy, right? I mean, it's the infamous, like, hey, let me look at this because I'm 90 years old and I can look back on, or 80, whatever he is, and be like, every time everyone talked about this, I remember my dad. It's a great story. I remember my dad. Well, I think it's a great story. If you don't think it, go to some other channel. My dad is walking around the lake near my house in San Diego, where I used to live. And he's out, and it's like 2007 or 2008. And my house is worth could sell that weekend for 5 times basically what I paid for it. So I got all this equity, and I pulled out some too, but I wasn't dumb, and I didn't get 110% equity line of credit. But I pulled out some money. And my dad's walking around this lake, and the scenario that he describes is he's walking behind these 2 women who are pushing baby strollers, and they're, obviously mothers, maybe single, doesn't matter. They're mothers, obviously, or they're nannies, whatever. Point is that his assessment, and I think it's quite accurate, is that they had zero knowledge, business, ability, acumen to be able to make any summary of real estate and able to have any sort of mental business plan for success. And he heard them saying, I think I'm going to invest in real estate. I think I'm going to start flipping houses. That's what it was, because of course that was what people thought they could do for the rest of their lives for and basically 2x their money, no matter what they did. And he made some summary, and I agreed with it, which was, when I start to hear people like that believe that they can do what so many other people are apparently doing and be successful at it, but with no knowledge or skills or whatever in that area, now's the time. So that was the infamous, people are getting greedy, now I'm getting scared. And, my dad had that ability, and he had it arguably because he was in his 60s back then, and I'm like, yeah, no doubt. I'd tell you, I mean, I'm 50, right? And so if you don't know, so in 3 days, I'm going to be 54. And at that time, I'll have been through the .com bubble, which I kind of had visibility into, but I absolutely was through 2008 with intense clarity. And I was like, okay, so when this happened and this massive, I'm like, yeah, okay, the value of my investments right now on paper, that number, that summary number, is less than it was 1 year ago today. But it's also more than it was 3 years ago. And in the next 2 to 3 years, because of the investments that I've made, I don't believe we're going to sell less electric cars globally over the next couple of years. And right now, with oil prices higher, and trust me, if you're from the US, you're not getting any sympathy on the price of fuel from somebody from the UK. So they're going to sell more electric cars. So I believe that my investments in various things are going to go up. And so as long as I don't pull out, people are, oh my God, have you cashed out? Yeah, I cashed out profit. I didn't cash out now panicking, but oh my God, my stock is worth less now than what I paid for it. Let me sell some. What? Come on, So no, I'm not worth. I don't have less money. Thailand is a major manufacturer for air conditioning. Yes, and automotive. Indeed, yes, I completely agree. That's good to know. It's good to reiterate that, rather. Removal of pre-flight PCR tests for post-flight test really smacks of vested interest in hospitalization. Yes, I'm very cynical on that system. Yeah, sure. I mean, look at, dude, here's the deal. The government comes out and they make these rules, and certain people are going to take advantage of it, AKA bankruptcy in the United States versus paying off your creditors. All right. So, I mean, that's a pretty big reach. But yeah, I get it. And it's probably wise to be cynical. And if it's a behavior that you believe lacks integrity, don't support it. I completely agree with that. Heck, you're awesome, dude. Going to sleep now. Have a great day. Live your lives. I do a TV show in Switzerland about startups. Yes, Nico does actually. I believe you do several radio / TV shows. There's one thing that you do on Facebook, and it's like it's a repeat video stream of a dancing caricature or a dancing meme, something like that. And there's music, like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand it. So anyway, but that's just my ignorance. How long do unvaccinated need to quarantine for in May? I don't know. What will your money be worth in May? What will the stock price of ExxonMobil be in May? You call it being drunk? No, absolutely not, dude. And I'm glad you double clicked on an LOL on that. I'm glad you could understand hopefully the emotion that it was stated with. I just there's two kinds of people in my life, Steph, and there's alcoholics and drunks, and alcoholics like me, we go to meetings. So and if you don't go to meetings, well, I'm just teasing. Suggest to pick up a kangaroo for surrogate nanny. Absolutely, dude. Yeah, I agree. I think you should tell Chris to absolutely do that. You're great at babysitting too, with the pouch, but bumps. I've heard, and I haven't seen this up close, but like inside that pouch, like it's gross. It's like alien, this, I don't know, maybe not. People with great skills scrub up the last 30 years of evolution. Ex-boss for many years, a multi-millionaire, thought me so much, always said he made the most money in bad years and the worst in the recession time. Yeah, I mean, what do you call those people? Lemonade salesmen, right? Like take lemons and make lemonade. I don't have that ability. I make a lot more money when everyone else is making more money too. When Alibaba stock was increasing and the entire retail amount of a country versus retail sales in the United States, when retail sales in China were equal, and then the following year more than the United States, I said to myself, well, I should probably buy some Alibaba stock. And I bought some Alibaba stock, and then I sold some Alibaba stock for profit. And then some of that profit I put back into Alibaba, and right now the value of that stock is worth less than I paid for it. So I'm not selling it. Because cloud overall is not going to decrease in utilization. Alibaba Cloud might decrease in market share in China, but they still have the highest market share, and their cloud business is still growing. And, like I've always said when I was in IT, I'm not going to need slower CPUs next year. I'm not going to buy less data next year. I'm not going to need worse performing networking next year. I'm always going to need better. And if you're in the cloud business and you're a global provider, you absolutely cannot rest on your laurels, and you have to increase your offering and performance level to all of your customers. And Alibaba Cloud does that. They're not as trusted as Amazon. I mean, let's face it, Amazon is amazing, as is Azure now. They used to suck. And I would even test. I remember I did this test, a full 3-year test of 3 cloud providers: Amazon, Azure, and I'm thinking, did I do Google at the time? I might not have Google, so maybe it was only 2. But in 3 years, the amount of downtime that I experienced on Azure was just ridiculous. And I said, you're delusional, because they called me up. Oh, so did Oracle. Azure would call me, and many other people too that had a lot more spend. They would call me as the IT guy at University of San Diego and been like, look, we'll give you $25,000 right now if you come over and start using our services. $25,000 worth of services. I'm like, yeah, that's not enough. I'd rather actually spend cash at AWS than have to use Azure and experience downtime. Because I can tell you right now, every time there is downtime, anytime there is any degree of discomfort or disappointment with the internet, with the internet or with networking or with any online service at our university, the first response of any of our students is, I pay $50,000 a year to go here. This should always work. And I actually came to believe that it was a fairly reasonable response because, you know, at the end of the day, yes, we were university. I used to label us as we are not just, we are in the higher education experience business, and we resell bachelor's degrees for $250,000. So I can tell you right now, there better be like dual paths of solid glass to the pillow of our students in their dorm rooms for that kind of cash. I mean, that's just an enormous amount of money. And to think, oh yeah, the internet's slow, or I can't. The other thing too is when you lived on our campus, this is very common for a lot of colleges and universities, you're basically an ISP. The student can't be like, okay, so I'm basically renting this apartment. Let me call up the cable company or the DSL company or AT&T or Google Fiber and get my own feed into my room. We don't allow you to do that because we care, you know, we own the infrastructure, and the way you get internet is you basically get it from us. We give it to you for free as part of your $2,000 a month. No, how much was it? Yeah, it was. I think it was just under $2,000 a month, room and board. Sorry. So meals were, and this was the thing that kind of bothered me about our university. And I think many other universities do this. They may not do it intentionally, but we did this, and I think we did it intentionally, which was to sell the students a meal package that they couldn't get credit on. So therefore they would spend, for the sake of argument, $5,000 on food, right? And that would allow you to get a certain amount, or you had like a, you know, like every time you bought something, you just bought it on a card. So it deducted the cost of that. Or you bought meals. So you bought like 3 meals a day for 90 days, and that cost a blanket amount of money. And then because I remember students, like in the last week of school, like around finals, they would line up at the store and buy like all of these groceries so that they wouldn't leave money on their card because you never got a refund. And we were in IT, and so we provided the infrastructure that all of those services laid on, not the least of which was the campus card system, the campus cash system. And we were speaking with those people, you know, towards the end of one semester, and they said, look, because of all these students, they front load the amount of cash here, and they're just like, I'm done with finals, I'm leaving campus, I don't care how much money I have on my card. Millions of dollars, literally, would be not spent on items that we would normally have, right? So it wasn't deducted from the balance. And then at the end of the semester, that balance was simply profit for us, that we didn't have to, you know, so we would, you know, and I would argue that it's a little, you should allow the students to get their money back on stuff they haven't bought. You know, but I get it. You know, you're making a gamble that this deal that you get with your university is going to allow you as the customer to get a better deal. You look at Lobster, I'd be, oh yeah, so I have, I don't know, does it show that I have, maybe you can see that, yeah, I have a little bit of sun, and I get that because it's outdoors, and I'm very photon driven, so it energizes me. I love heat and humidity, you know, to a degree. I mean, there are some days where I'm like, oh my God, it's like really, really hot and sweaty. Like right now, I mean, I've got the AC on 26, 27. You know, and many people will enter it, oh my God, they turned it on like 21, 22. And I'm like, dude, I didn't move to this part of the world to be cold. If anything, I moved to this part of the world to intentionally be hot and sweaty and, you know, maybe get too much sun. But that's just me. Never started drinking because I didn't have money when you, yeah, right, exactly. People are like, oh my God, Mike, how could you afford cocaine? Any way possible. Like, it didn't matter, man. It was, you know, wouldn't it be funny, right? I mean, I doubt anyone has ever said this because it's a drug and you're a drug addict effectively if you buy it regularly, right? No matter what. I mean, whether you buy once a week, but if you do it every single friggin' week, or you buy it once a day, or you use it once a day, every waking moment, like I did. You know, you never sit around, I tell you what, man, when this goes up to 350 a gram, I am stopping. When cigarettes get to be $10 a pack, I'm quitting. When gasoline gets to $6 a gallon, I'm going to stop driving. That'll show them. No. Anyone who's complaining about the cost of fuel in the United States was just, they didn't have any foresight. Back when Exxon Mobil was $40 at the beginning of the COVID, you know, nonsense, when all the stock prices started cratering in March of 2020, and Mobil got down to 40. You know, well, let's see. I don't know. They're the biggest company in the entire world. You know, they're gonna go out of business. No, you know. And now people that are complaining about it, they're just like, look, you don't. The only reason you're bitching about the price of fuel is because you weren't smart enough. Sorry, not smart enough. You didn't have enough foresight to realize that the bubble that you're in right now is going to change. And it could change for the worse, but it could also change for the better. And so therefore you didn't buy mobile stock back then and wait it out. And additionally, those people that are complaining about something that's in their life right now, look at the past in your life. Every time the most important thing on the news in the United States was, oh my God, the gas prices, what has happened within 6 to 12 months? The price of the friggin' fuel goes down. So if that's the case, right? Because right now, everyone would argue, you're looking at ExxonMobil stock and you're like, there's no way I'm going to buy that. It's the highest it's ever been. It's, you know, I'm not going to buy that. So therefore, if you believe that this wildly successful company that is selling a product that you assess to be basically overpriced right now, they're selling it for far too much money. If their stock price is going to go down, you believe that. If you believe it's going to go up and the price of get, then buy some ExxonMobil. But if you're sitting there going, oh my God, it's at an all-time high, I'm never going to buy it. Well, if that's the case, then that means gas prices are going to go down. So chill out, suck it up, and look at yourself in the mirror and say, maybe buying that 12 to 15 mile a gallon SUV that I could sit in with the engine running in front of Starbucks to get my $5 latte on the way to work was not such a smart purchase. Or if I did make that purchase because I wanted it and I liked the luxury and I don't really give a crap that I'm pissing through fossil fuel, driving 15 miles for every, 3.8 liters of fuel that I consume, well then, hey, it was a decision you made. I can tell you right now, if I look back, yeah, I could smack myself in the head and be like, those cars that I bought in Southern California were foolish. Because I can tell you right now, after having an SUV that had very capable four-wheel drive to go up the hill, that we absolutely needed this car to have a certain amount of horsepower and a diesel engine with a lot of torque and a 4x4 system that had a center diff lock, so that we could get up to Gracie's farm, parents' farm, and bring the stuff we needed and get to our wedding and bring other people to our wedding. After driving something like that, it was definitely a justifiable SUV 4x4. Looking back on the last 4 cars that I owned in Southern California, so I owned 4 Acuras in a row. And the first 2 Acuras that I bought had 375 horsepower, all-wheel drive, and cost over $50,000. And I did not need a car that capable to drive to freaking Costco. And my commute to where I was working took 12 minutes. So I didn't need this, because at the end of the day, it was an Acura, which simply means it was a freaking Honda with leather and awesome and more soundproofing. And I could speak to the steering wheel and it would do my bidding. I would be like, driver temperature, 71 degrees. Driver temperature, 71 degrees. It had sensors on the dash that would basically sense the intensity, the angle of incline of the sun based on the radiation it was receiving, as well as the GPS coordinates of the car to be able to determine, and the time of day, to be able to determine the angle of the sun and the amount of heat and infrared that was coming into the car inside, to be able to modify the, I was going to say air conditioning, but to be able to modify the climate control such that I would be comfortable. So I could just set it on auto and it would take all of that information in and determine the temperature that I wanted to be comfortable. Are you kidding me? Is that a vehicle I needed? And, shocker, it also didn't get great fuel economy. It wasn't getting the 35 miles to the gallon, like, for example, my other engineer friend, who is quite brilliant, Dana, he bought this Chevy Aveo, which I believe is, I don't believe Chevy made that car. It might have been a partnership with Kia or Mazda. Anyway, it was a very small car. Great mileage, like 35 miles to the gallon, right? And that was what he was driving, and is getting him from point A to point B. Arguably, he wasn't as comfortable, and maybe he didn't get as many chicks with his car as I got back then. I don't know. I can tell you right now that it absolutely was probably 25% of the reason I bought that car was ego and status, but also comfort. I appreciated the engineering prowess that it had. Trust me, I was very impressed with that car. It was a very well-designed car, and it was incredibly reliable. The only time I ever took it in was, here's how I would take my car into the shop. I would press a button on the dash. It would call the nearest Acura dealer that it had to me, and it would display a list of appointments that it had in the upcoming days, and I would rotate a dial on my dash, choose one of those appointments. It would make the appointment for me. It would then email me and send me an SMS message about when the appointment was. It would also send me a reminder the previous evening about when that was. And then when I would drive up, AccuraLink would sync my car as I was driving into the dealer with their appointment system, and so it would say something to welcome to your appointment. They would walk out, they would look at my car, they would say hello, and this is on my first car. By the time I bought my fourth car, I understood why they knew my name. But on the first car that I got, they said, hello, Mr. So they would look at the license plate, verify it with their tablet, because heaven forbid they use paper, which was awesome. Welcome, Mr. Somerville. We have record that you're having this done, because of course the car would communicate to the dealership the scheduled service that it needed, and there was a guy behind me with a 10-year-old Acura who walked up, and they would be like, hi, how you doing? My name's Mr. Jones, and I'm going to need this, and this, and this same result would occur. They would have all, so I mean, the level of ridiculousness of things that I bought, maybe all of you guys are freaking amazing, and you never bought anything that was foolish. Well, I bought plenty of things that were foolish, that were my own responsibility to not do, but I enjoyed doing it. I really enjoyed having a sunroof. I can tell you, when I got in my car, 90% of the time in Southern California, I got in, I started it with the button push. The second button I pushed opened up the sunroof. When I had a Land Rover, I started the car, pushed 2 buttons, and then 2 more, and it opened all of the windows and the sunroof. Sometimes when I walked up to my Acura, even before I got there, I held down the open door button, unlock door button on the remote, and it automatically opened the sunroof and down all of the windows before I got to the car. So, I mean, there's some things that are just, it's neat, it's convenience. And from a technical perspective, from a geek perspective, from an electrical engineering perspective, I thought, it's really neat. But secondly, I remember watching Kia increase market share in the United States. And you would look at a Kia and you'd be like, okay, that car is like $15,000. And it has the mirrors that auto retract. It has the mirrors that angle down when you put it in reverse. It angles down so you can see the back. It has a backup camera in the mirror or on the dash. It has XM Sirius radio because of course that module, that chip, it costs nothing to install. For Christ's sake, the chip costs the same amount of money as the silly antenna costs the manufacturer on the roof. And they would put these things in and all these options and extras and stuff that were like actually thousands of dollars more. GPS control that ran off the DVD, which pissed me off. But regardless, they had the ability to add all these. They chose to add all of these electronic features because from the manufacturer's perspective, it costs nothing to install those. So Kia out of Korea, Kia Hyundai, they were like, our cars might not be awesome, but they're awesome enough. And in fact, let's offer them with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. And if it breaks it, fine, we'll just give them another. Who cares? We're going to build market share, dude. And they were rolling these cars out for $99 a month on a lease that you had to put like $4,000 down. So, I mean, it's all finances. It's not like a $99 a lease means you're only paying $99 a month lease means you're only paying $4,000 for the car. No, you have to put $4,000 down to get it back. I would love these people. Oh, I got this lease. It was only $99 a month. No, because all you're doing with the lease is paying for the depreciation, right? So I mean, it's like, look, dude. At the end of the day, like when you return this car with X amount of miles on it, or whether unless the company is just passionate about losing money, they're selling you that car. They're letting you rent that car for the amount of money that they believe it will decrease in value between now and the time that you return it, based on mileage and age and that sort of thing. So. Hatred of the CCCP means that I can't invest in Chinese shares in good conscience. Totally. I can completely understand that boundary. Charlie Munger is heavily invested in Alibaba with no fear to it. It's the way of what to come. No fear, Mike. Come on, Alibaba. LOL. Buy more Baba. Because I can tell you right now, people are, oh my God, China's going through its next phase of lockdown and all of the awesome. Because guess what, dude? That means every Chinese person is like, well, I can't go anywhere, so it's time to open up my Taobao or my Tmall app and order everything I need. Exactly, dude. You should laugh out loud, Dave. If you don't, you're doing it wrong. Aloha from Davao City. Hey, Edward, how you doing? Been busy with renovation of new retirement home here. We can't wait to get to Thailand for a 3 to 6 month stay. Chiang Mai, probably great to see you. Been a while. Hey, man, good to see you. Thank you so much. Stay in touch. And when you come to Chiang Mai, please let me and Gracie know, because by that time, we may be ready to experience Chiang Mai, because in 3 to 6 months, it will be after the burning sea. Actually, 3 to 6 months from now, we will be in the United States. So regardless, please stay in touch. I'm honored you came by, and it's good to see you as well. Enjoy Davao City. It was all the extra diff locks. Indeed, dude. I can tell you right now. Let me tell you something about center diff lock. If you are buying a 4x4 capable vehicle and you do not get center diff lock, I'm saying this to my 6 month before myself 3 months ago. Mike, if you're going to get a 4x4 vehicle and you believe you need that 4x4 to go up some degree of like slip a bit, get a center diff lock. Because, I mean, talk about, like, you can climb up anything. I mean, I was very impressed. I was very impressed with Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi, Pajero, Montero, that they were not a company that I associated with high quality, reliable, functional, very, very well engineered, simplistic design 4x4. They blew me away. I forgot about the Dakar Rally. I forgot about all these things that they want. But man, oh man, I will tell you that I am over the moon. How's it now? I am over the moon impressed and pleased with Mitsubishi engineering. They exceeded my expectations on a number of climbs up the mountain. How's this mic sound, by the way? I'm sure it's echoey as hell in here. But I just grabbed it. And it was either use this thing or I was going to, just use the microphone that comes with the laptop. But I thought, look how awesome I look with my microphone. I feel like I'm on Jimmy Kimmel. Nice Acura. Won't stop bullets from road rage drivers in the U.S. right now. Yeah. Well, so here's what's funny. You actually could get that option, believe it or not, on the version that I had, and well as the version above that. I had the TL, and you could actually get bulletproof glass and that, as well as not my Land Rover Discovery. Although when I was in Mexico, I remember people would be like, "Oh, what kind of car do you have?" Or when they would see me in Mexico, especially when I was driving my Range Rover. When I was driving my Range Rover, which was the first Land Rover product I had, when I was driving my Range Rover, people were like, "Oh, where are you from? Where do you work?" And I would be like, "I work at a radio station, San Diego." They're like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Dude, the only people that drive those Range Rovers in Mexico that aren't in, like TJ, like just driving across from the U.S. are drug dealers." And I was in Mexico City. I moved my business from Ensenada, where I incorporated it, over to Mexico City. And the guy's driving me from the office, basically, because you had a driver and you had a security guard. Chris knows this all too well, sadly, in New York. In New York, you should probably get one. In Mexico City. He's driving me to the airport. And so what kind of car do you drive? Oh, I have a Land Rover, Oh, really? What series bulletproof glass do you have on that? I'm like, there's versions? I'm like, bulletproof glass? I mean, it's a Land Rover, dude. All I have is glass that prevents me from someone throwing eggs at me when I'm in the parking lot in Costco trying to fight for a parking spot. That's the series of bulletproofness I have in my Land Rover in San Diego. The little radiator clean helped. Yeah, I will tell you that I was sharing most of it with Chris. I actually never sort of went through all of the things that I did with the Pajero. But I go into this radiator shop that was recommended to me by this mobile mechanic guy that we found on the side of the road, because as I'm driving, here's something I never knew that I learned that I did not, just completely blew me away. I thought I knew diesel cars. My dad had a diesel Mercedes for a while, but we never really did any sort of maintenance on it. Anyway, so we're cruising along, and all of a sudden the oil light goes on. And it's one thing if it's flickering, if I'm at idle. It's another thing if the oil light starts blinking like crazy and I'm going 40 kilometers an hour, and I'm like, crap. So I pull over. Oil is just plunging out of the bottom of the engines from where I could see it, as if the oil pan was literally just removed. And I thought, oh, my God. So I get underneath. It's a used car. I haven't had it for a while. And so I get socket set and I tighten, hand tighten the nuts that were holding the oil pan on. And I thought, okay, that must be it, because I couldn't see what was happening. Well, turns out there is a hose that goes from the bottom of the oil pan, rubber hose that goes from the bottom of the oil pan over to the back of the alternator. And the process of the spinning alternator and the attachment to the oil pan, the reservoir of oil, creates a vacuum that is used for other parts of the car. So it's used for like the brakes to create vacuum, that sort of thing. And I'm like, because the guy's underneath, he goes, oh yeah, no, the hose rip that goes from the oil pan to the alternator. And I'm like, to the alternator? I'm like, this must be a lost in translation thing. I'm like, you mean the oil pump? He's like, no, the alternator, like electricity thing. And I'm like, okay, dude, what does this guy know? There's no way there's motor oil flowing through the alternator. And in diesel cars, apparently this is common. This was completely new knowledge for me. He climbs underneath, gets all dirty, he's a mechanic. He was a mobile mechanic cruising by in the middle of the day, 100 degrees out in the Philippines. Wonderful guy, Renell. Used him. He literally drove to our house, which is another like 50 kilometers, where he found us dying on the side of the road. Anyway, climbs underneath, takes a picture of it, shows it to me on his phone. He says, well, you need this hose. Drives down the street, buys the hose, buys 4 liters of motor oil, because of course I effectively changed my oil that day by depositing it all over the ground. And 2 hose clamps, puts the new hose on between the oil pan and the alternator, clamps it on, puts oil back in, and we're good to go. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm a mobile mechanic. I'm like, what's it going to cost me to have you come to the house and like change the oil for me? He goes, oh, he says, actually, we should change the center diff and the rear diff fluid and the transmission fluid. You want me to do that? Yes. 1,500 pesos later. Yeah, I'll pay you $50 to do a on-site liquid repair. Like, my God, the guy was amazing. So anyway, he tells me about this radiator shop in Rojas. So Gracie and I drive over to this radiator shop. They remove the radiator, and I'm like, okay, well, I need to flush the system, right? So I'm thinking, okay, they're going to pull it out. They're going to flush it with like high pressure water. No, they take it over to these guys that are basically sitting on the ground, and they have these metal strips, and they shove these metal strips down inside of the fins, for the lack of description, of the radiator, down each individual single one to clean the radiator out. Then they remove the top, they remove the bottom, they resolder it all together. They put a new metal, the bottom hose where the hose attaches. They resolder that around. They resolder the top of it. And they said, yeah, you need a new hose. So I walked down the street to the parts shop, got the new hose, brought the new hose back. They put that on, refilled it with very concentrated coolant and distilled water that I had bought on the way. And it was like, Gracie believes I overpaid. I paid 3,000 pesos for the whole thing, but they spent the whole day on it, and they did a really good, not the whole day, they spent several hours on it, and they did a good job. They did a really good job, actually, as far as I'm concerned. So $60, right? So 3,000 pesos, $60. And I was like, no, I'm on board. Gracie thought it was too much, but I agree. One could argue it would have only been 2,000. But yeah, that radiator clean was game changer. Wait, hold on. Did someone just give me Reef every single time? Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. Why do I appreciate it? Because $10 is 520 pesos. And guess what my Wendy's meal cost me last night? So thank you. Congratulations to you and Gracie. Wish you the best of luck. Here's a smoothie for you too. Reef from New York City. Reef, I am honored. Every single time you come by, you give money. I really appreciate that. I do appreciate it. I don't want to say it that way. I don't expect it. But you exceed my expectations every single time. I'm honored that you come by, and I'm honored that you give Gracie and I money. And I'm honored that you believe so much in this platform that you basically just dedicated $3 to YouTube. And Gracie and I get the remaining $6.66. But seriously, man, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. I hope you're well. I hope the weather there is to your liking. It wouldn't be to my liking. It's far too cold in New York City for me right now. But I thank you very much, Reef. That's really appreciated. Thank you, Dave. His name is Davil Ward there. I will tell you that his name that I hear him by, that he uses on the air, if you will, is David 3D Ward. And he's one of the DJs on Kiss FM. And he was one of the DJs on Kiss FM long before I was part of Kiss FM. So Reef, you're awesome, and I'm glad that's still showing up there. I'm glad that it shows up right away when it happens, so I can scroll down and thank you as quickly as possible. So very cool, dude. Did it give you your blood pressure? What's that? Oh, the Acura? No, it didn't do that, but I'm sure I could have attached a interface. My mom has one, Kia Rio, brilliant value. Yeah, I'm telling you what, dude. Yeah, bang for buck, right? Eric, hey, how you doing? I went to high school with Eric. Bought so many things I didn't need because of ego. Glad those days are behind me. I can tell you right now, Patrick, that I completely agree with that behavior. I can also tell you that 100% of those days are absolutely not behind me. I still buy things out of ego. What is one of those that I bought out of ego? Maybe my phone. Maybe there was a part of me that bought my phone because my 5G phone. I mean, I guess I could, make the justification. Look, dude, it's 2022 and 5G is everywhere and you need a 5G phone. So I don't know. I mean, do I? I mean, I've done speed tests with LTE in Bangkok, and Bangkok LTE is just fine. 5G in the Philippines, unfortunately, is basically what 3G is in Bangkok. I shouldn't say that. It's bad. It's unreliable. It's offensive. Additionally, I have apps on my phone that indicate the true backhaul communication between phone and cell tower. And I can tell you right now that at least 30% of the cell towers I've connected to here in the Philippines, the connectivity between my phone and the cell tower is not 5G. It's not the 5G protocol. It's not the 5G frequency. It's LTE. And they display the 5 and the G on your phone because they're lying. And that's the reality of the Philippines in many scenarios. Packing my bags, headed for the PI. Funny, I know that historically people refer to it as the PI, but for me, I simply indicated as PH. That's Marty, by the way. I mentioned him to you earlier, you guys. Marty has a really neat YouTube channel called Surviving TN. I can't remember what that stands for. I know that it is a medical condition that the result is intense headaches. And he goes through, I don't believe he's updated videos lately, or at least he has. I haven't been notified of him. And Marty, I apologize for not potentially going and watching them because I fully support you in many things that you do, not the least of which is sharing your pain with the hope of giving others hope that potentially have a similar affliction that you didn't sign up for, that is just randomness, quite frankly, like cancer, and I'm so grateful that you share that with other people and so empathetic that you have to go through that because your soul before you went through that is not deserving of this kind of punishment, if you will. Anyway, I'm really glad you're coming here. If we can hang out on my Wednesday here, I would adore that. I have literally nothing going on Wednesday. Monday, I go to the Thai embassy and drop all my stuff off at 9. They open at 9:30. I will be there no later than 9:29. Ideally, I will be through the door at 9:30 and able to present all of my documents when apparently they start accepting them for visas at 10 a.m. I will be there at 9:30 holding my pieces of paper. 9:59, 58, 59, boom. Here's, I want to be the first guy in line. I'm a big fan of being the first guy in line. Gracie is so amazing because she completely shares my desire, one could argue obsession occasionally, with being early. If you're on time, you're late. She and I are early. I needed to get to the airport, according to Cebu Pacific, 3 hours before my flight leaves for a domestic flight. So, of course, I get there 3.5 hours early. And the guard at the gate says, I can't go in yet because they're not going to open up the check-in until 2 hours before the flight leaves, which is completely false because it was the second flight of the day. So the check-in counters were absolutely open at 7:30. no, I'm sorry, at 6:30 for the 8:30 flight, and then they just leave them open and they sit the people there and they hang out. I could have absolutely checked in 3 hours early, and they wouldn't let us into the airport. So we all sat outside, these plastic, disgusting chairs at this new airport that was already deteriorating. The Wi-Fi was non-existent, or it sucked. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, this is ridiculous. You indicated that I should be here. I was so frustrated. I don't know how I got off on that tangent, other than the minute I hear Philippines, I can tell you 17 things that I dislike about the place. I can also tell you that the people that I interface with are amazing, resilient, and I have an enormous amount of empathy for them, because the opportunities that are available here are limited. The government is doing better. Duterte, I would argue, is one of the best presidents they've ever had. Yeah, the ends justify the means sometimes, but I can tell you that it's better now for the majority of the people than it was before he showed up. Okay? Bad things have happened along the way. Innocent people get convicted of crimes and end up on death row, even in the United States. So there's imperfection in everything. I get it. People get cancer that don't deserve it. People get headaches that don't deserve it. I get a headache. I don't deserve it. Okay. And anyway, so if you've ever heard me speak negatively of the Philippines, I pray to God, if I did it incorrectly, but I don't believe I have ever made the statement that the Filipinos are incompetent. I've made the statement that the Philippines is incompetent. Organizations are untrustworthy. The government allocates resources incorrectly for the people that generate those resources via taxes. Arguably, a lot of those resources are also generated with ill-gotten gains. But anyway, the infrastructure here is subpar. If you don't know, one of the claims to fame that the Philippines has is that they have the worst internet connectivity in all of Southeast Asia, which means you're comparing them to Cambodia and Laos. I get it. You know, you compare them to Singapore and Thailand. It's like, look, dude, Thailand has solid glass to your wrist when you're walking down the street in Bangkok. It's friggin' amazing. I don't expect that, okay, over here. But I was disappointed when I first heard that. I was 1,000 times more disappointed when I heard that, and heard the fact that Facebook and Google now, and I believe IBM, have now said, hey, Philippines, we will provide you with free internet to get your shit together. Because clearly, an entire country that doesn't have adequate internet for all of their citizens, especially their children that are going to school, lacks the ability to get decent education. When you lack the ability to have decent education, you lack the ability to improve yourself as a society, generate more revenue, have a better quality of life overall. It's the same thing. Like you say, oh my God, that country doesn't have clean water and they don't have decent, reliable electricity. The electricity over here arguably isn't super reliable, and the voltage fluctuates like crazy. The frequency fluctuates like crazy when you're in the friggin' province. So I haven't figured that out yet in the remote areas, but it's not like there's perfect power in the United States. And there certainly isn't perfect internet in the entire United States, which I actually find offensive. But nonetheless, having the worst internet in all of Southeast Asia is not, it's not something you want to make t-shirts about, okay, and give to all of the people that show up at your country. So, you know, I really hope that the Philippines takes those abilities that are given to them by private society, not the least of which is Facebook. And yeah, they're doing it because they have a motivation to give free internet, so people will use the internet to go on Facebook. Fine, but they can also use the internet to search on, how do I learn pre-calculus? Okay, so, you know, there's pluses and minuses, and I think there's a lot more pluses to having faster, reliable internet for every single person. One of the things that I didn't think would be as valuable as it has been was to teach my daughter effectively. When you have a question about anything, Google it. Google everything. She asked me a question yesterday. What is a seagull? Is it some kind of bird? I don't expect her to push the, I took a screenshot of me typing in the word seagull, enter into Google, And it gave her pictures of it. It gave her a Wikipedia description. Google everything. What is a quadratic equation? How do I walk fast if I only have a limp? How many pancakes does it take to shingle a doghouse? Ask Google everything. It is the reference librarian to your life, because there's no libraries over here, which also pisses me off. Don't even get me started on the fact that there's not free books for students. Anyway, the Filipinos are very competent and very loving and very open-minded. Yeah, there's bad people and selfish people and all that. There's plenty of those people in Boston, okay? Plenty of those people in Coronado, plenty of those people that have that attitude in Coronado. But overall, I think people are decent, at least in the societies that I seem to go in. There's selfish people and there's inconsiderate people that have yappy dogs and don't clean up after themselves and believe that the world is their urinal as well as their trash barrel. But those people exist in South Africa and they exist in Vermont and they exist all, but so it's not like the Philippines has the monopoly on people that behave poorly. But the opportunities here are so much less. It just saddens me to no degree. One final thing I will say about that is that it's not just my belief of this, okay? There are entire organizations of the government that dedicate their time and resources to providing these citizens with the ability to get the hell out of this country, to get a job, to bring back money to their families here, which a lot of times don't get taxed. So, I get that there's a study abroad program in the United States. I get that there's the ability to go work for IBM in New York City and they transfer you to, Paris or whatever. I get that there's job opportunities outside the United States, but there is no overseas foreign worker program in every single major city in the United States, because the United States is like, dude, get a job here, pay your taxes here, hire someone here, put a business here. And that doesn't exist here. And I'm grateful that they offer that opportunity to these citizens. But I think that it would be wiser if you also had an equal amount of time, money, and energy dedicated government to providing your current citizens in your country with the ability to do that exact same thing here. I just think that would be wiser, but I could be completely wrong, and it's just my interpretation of it, and it's my glasses, my pair of glasses that I wear, coming from Boston, coming from Southern California, coming from very adequate means and education and ability, to say, oh my God, well, you guys should totally have a branch of Stanford over here. You should have high quality. No, maybe that's not, I don't know. It just saddens me because look, Thailand's not friggin' perfect, and I don't know if they're emerging. I used to have this statement that was like, okay, people in the United States, just based on ignorance, it's not their fault. But they would be like, oh my God, you're moving to Thailand. Isn't that a third world country? When I bought my house in Mexico, they were like, oh my God, how can you? Okay, I disagree. It's an emerging nation in areas. Tijuana is a shithole, okay? But it doesn't mean that. In fact, Tijuana is so lousy that not only do they use this statement in business in the Baja, but they use this statement all over Mexico, which is if you have a business that is in or near Tijuana, the other areas of Mexico refer to that as the Tijuana Factor. And they refer to that as your inability to do quality business, your inability to make profit and do it properly because you're near Tijuana. And there's this it's not like there's witches there, like in Sikihor, but there's this negative stigma if you have a business or you try to do business in Tijuana, because there's the Tijuana factor. So when I moved my business down to San Felipe, I started my business in Ensenada. They were like, I know it's pretty, you have the Tijuana factor. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? That's why I moved the business incorporation basically to Mexico City, even though the majority of the deployment of the business was in San Felipe, which again, it was on the other side of the Baja. So it was far enough away. Once you get down to Cabo, you're away from the Tijuana factor, but yeah. Nice today, but I'm in the grind for another 10 years or so. That's okay, dude. So was I at your age, probably. Can't believe YouTube takes that much, man. Oh, yeah. But at the end of the day, dude, I've also got a 100% uptime, highly reliable video platform with an unlimited amount of space and basically unlimited bandwidth. So I'm okay with that. So you're very welcome. I think you're great, Marty. You're awesome, man. Hey, Tim, I saw your name up there. I'm sorry I didn't get to it till now, but thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. Like to meet you and anyone else already in Thailand. Great. Come on over, man. I'm happy to hang out. That's for sure. 50,000 on the collar, or 50,000 on blow, or 50,000 on travel, or $50,000 plus on a divorce. We all waste money on our own way. Absolutely, dude. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I wasted money on cocaine. I could tell you that, one could argue it was part of my education because, looking in the rearview mirror over the last 30 years, that level of horrible in my life allowed me to have, I believe, it allowed me to have this level of amazing, not the least of which is the ability for me to look at everything I have around me right now, not the least of which is the ability to buy this shirt for however much I paid for it. I know I didn't overpay for it. It was effectively free. It's a good quality shirt. Okay. And I could name 7,000 other nouns around me right now that I get to have in my life, not the least of which is yellow teeth and, scratches on my fingers and imperfection. I have my rings off now, by the way, because I have this issue. You can see that? No, hold on. Let me see. Yeah. So you see that like sore basically I have on my finger. I would normally wear my gold tie ring on that finger. It is a pair of rings. It's one of a pair of rings that Gracie and I bought immediately after we picked up her passport at the post office in Thailand when she got her U.S. tourist visa, 10-year tourist visa. So we celebrated by each getting gold rings. And that was, there was some degree of commitment. And quite frankly, it's not like I was like, oh boy, I'm really psyched for this relationship I have with this girl. I can't wait till this gets over and I meet the next better one. No, I was in. I was all in with Gracie. And I knew that this was I didn't know we'd get married online, basically, at the DMV in Thailand during COVID. I didn't know there would be COVID, right? But we got married, and so and then we bought wedding rings, which are quite close by. So we bought wedding rings, and these are actual. This is real gold, actually. So one could argue they're called wedding bands, but we bought wedding rings, and they have a little diamond in there. It's a real diamond. You get a certificate and all this stuff, So okay. And then we purchased these so that we could have rings during the wedding, which of course I don't believe you saw in the pictures. There was a little child standing next to us, and we were looking down at him, and what he was holding was a boy. That's a loud fridge. Does that sound loud to you guys? He was holding two rings that were approximately, mine is a little physically larger than Gracie's, but two rings like this. So it's got a little diamond thing and gold and silver color. I don't believe that it's actually real gold, but we purchased these. And so then what I do is I wear, I wear it here. So we have these rings that we exchanged during the ceremony. So that's cool. So I have that. And normally I wear these like all the time. But what I discovered is I like to wash my hands and face regularly. What I discovered is that what can happen in this climate is that even though I will dry my hands, there will still be some like perspiration and that sort of thing that occurs here. And the result is then I get some degree of like irritation on my finger, which then irritates me because that's the definition of something that's irritation. So I take them off at night, and then it allows me to. And also at night, if it's cold, I don't know about you guys, but my fingers will constrict a little bit because, of course, if I go outside, hot, humid, and I start walking around, they swell a little bit. My rings never fall off. But at night, potentially they could fall off, and I lose them in the bed, and then I leave my Airbnb, and I don't have my rings with me, and that would suck. So I take them off. If you care, I don't know why I went down that road. I don't know why I don't go down many roads. Not perfect power protection in Australia either. Yeah, so come on, guy, right? So what happened is that the power went out, and then they turned it back on, and it's kind of like, what's that joke? I can't even remember the name of that show, but it was like, not Home Alone. It was like Home Improvement. Was that the name of it? Anyway, I believe it was Home Improvement. There was a couple of little phrases that a lot of people use that I believe are from that show. Not the least of which is, 220, 221, whatever it takes. Because how many volts is that? Is that 220? Is that 110 or 220? 220, 221, whatever it takes. And obviously, Chris's 220 at 50 hertz came on at 2020 at 2 hertz and just completely busted all of his switch mode power supplies. So now his Macs don't work. which is, oh, remind me, dude, is that guy still rendering the video? As you guys know, I stream live on YouTube, and may know our wedding ceremony. And Chris, gratefully, he and I were talking about it earlier. He recorded it, backed it up, because for some reason, the YouTube, I didn't check, I didn't uncheck DVR when I went live, but for some reason it did not DVR. So therefore the video wasn't available afterwards. Gratefully, the reason I did it is that my parents were able to watch it live, or at least where the camera was. So I didn't have amazing footage or amazing audio. Dave liked it though. So thank you for that, Dave. Hey, now I'm in Vermont. I like Vermont for about 6 weeks a year when it's warm. Although some of the best skiing I ever did as a kid was at Killington. Some of the best skiing I did as a kid was also at Sun Valley and also at Kings Ridge when they got completely dumped on, which is hardly a hill. It's a ridge, right? It's hardly a mountain. Loon, Attitash, Waterville, they're all on that New Hampshire. But yeah, Vermont's got some pretty good. What's the one up near Burlington? What's the closest? Is that what's the ski resort up near Burlington? Because the only reason I ask is I used to go see my buddy at UVM, and we went night skiing there. Avenida Revolucion, lots of good memories. Well, that means you didn't really go there then. Yeah, Avenida Revolucion is, it's okay. I'll tell you, it's one of the only places in the world that I've been able to sit on the second floor of a restaurant and have really decent, actually, good Mexican food, and look out over the sidewalk and see a horse that was painted as a zebra walking by, because tourists want to get their picture taken with a zebra, and so they hand painted the side of this horse, this white horse with black stripes. Look, it's a zebra. Teresa, how are you? My world-class photographer friend. Congratulations on your group. Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate it, man. It was really neat. I'm glad you guys are saying that. That's very nice. It was a really, really cool ceremony. I was grateful that we were able to provide that basically for Gracie. I was able to provide that for my wife, but also as a team, we provided it, but also for her parents and for her neighborhood and for her daughter, my daughter. And God, what a pain in the neck that's going to be to make her legally my daughter. But I got to tell you, I'm doing it because I discovered that as a dual citizen, as someone who has Canadian citizenship as well, getting her Canadian citizenship as my daughter will be actually significantly easier than getting her U.S. citizenship. With my U.S. citizenship, getting her, one of those. But as a Canadian, it'll be easier. And arguably with a Canadian passport, they almost look identical to the U.S. passports. It's just like, different symbol, of course, and different words. It says Canada, not the United States of America. But on the back, it looks exactly the same. It's blue, dark blue. I was kind of hoping Canada passport would be red, so I had like a red and a blue passport. I feel like Jason Bourne. I get like multiple SIMs and multiple, passports, and feel like this 007. Good morning, Stock. Just passing through and thought I would say hello. Give a thumbs up. Thank you very much for all of that, sir. I appreciate it. Referring to say not wasting money on blow, my opinion, I say, is blow got me into negative situations that I never would have, but blow also got me into good, wink, wink, situations too. No regret, boom, boom, too. Yeah, look, dude, it's part of it. What am I going to do? Regret all the stuff I've done in my past? Come on. There's stupid things that I learned that I learned from. My dad has one of the best phrases. He's taught me a million great phrases, and he still does. Thank God he's still alive, and I can still talk to him and ask him questions, and he still gives me good advice. But one of the things he said, you didn't learn a whole lot doing everything right the first time. And I can tell you that applies to basic things like calculus, as well as word problems and, memorization of historical events, that sort of thing. But yeah, I didn't learn a whole lot doing everything right the first time. Right. Ha. The cool kids table hugs. I will call said tech tomorrow. See where he is with it. Got around the Mac Pro problem here. Check. Cha-ching. Good for you. That's pretty good service. It's good to hear, man. I'm glad, because without a Mac, I mean, a MacBook Pro, right? I mean, pretty easy to. Well, wait. So with a MacBook Pro, did you just need a new, wall wart or whatever? Did you just need a new power thing? What do those cost there? $100? What do they even call those? I know that Apple has a special brand name for their power. They don't call them the power supply, but is that probably all you need to do? I mean, I hope it. I can't imagine it. Jumped into the DC and then damaged the MacBook Pro. What does the MacBook Pro operate on? What voltage does it operate on? Is it 12? 24? Probably 24. I don't have one with me. I don't know what my Dell operates. I mean, I could turn over the power supply and look at it. I would say it's no, it can't be 6 volts. The whole thing? Maybe 24. We'll see. Stuck in Florida. Hello. Well, guys, here's the deal. It is now 8:46. 14 minutes before 9 o'clock here in the lame city of Manila. I almost said the Big Mango. I wish I was in the Big Mango. I have said this so many times. I am not a big city guy, but I love Bangkok. And one of the reasons is because it is so easy, sans COVID, it is so easy to get out of Bangkok, meaning that I can take a cab to Sriracha and then take the ferry over to Koh Sichang. I can take a taxi to Pattaya and Jomtien. I can take a train to another train and go down to Cha Am or Hua Hin or Prachuap Khiri Khan, or I can take a train to the airport and then go anywhere. I mean, Bangkok is a hub, dude. Bangkok's the hub of the universe, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, there are imperfections there too, And, oh my God, it's the hottest city in the world. Bring it, dude. I can tell you right now. Because I am not oh my God, I can't wait to move to Iceland. No. It's funny that my buddy, I won't tell you who he is, but a buddy who's flying over to this part of the world in the near future, he asked me a very arguably silly question, depending upon where you live in the world, but a very relevant and accurate question and a necessary question regarding packing coming to this side of the world. Mike, I'm coming over to this, this week. Do I need to bring pants? And it's no. I mean, here's why I wear pants when I'm in Southeast Asia. It means I'm on a plane, freezing, or bus or train, Thailand, freezing my ass off. And if I don't wear pants, I'll be very, very cold. I also wear a hoodie and a ski hat. I wore a ski hat, or no, I had my hood on when I was on the plane, Cebu Pacific, because it was so freaking cold. And I have a pair of jeans. And I'm really excited I saved these jeans. I thought I got rid of a lot of my clothes in Southern California. I'm I'm never going to wear them. I got rid of a pair of Burberry jeans, which in that retrospect, I should not have done. Those were nice jeans. But I kept my sevens for all mankind. And I have those. And so I'm really excited because, I mean, those are at least 20 years old. I probably paid $300 for them, but those jeans will last me for the rest of my life, especially considering I wear them 4 days a year now. But the point is, I need long pants to go to the Thai embassy. I need long pants to be able to go to government offices here in Southeast Asia. It's very common. You have to dress appropriately to go to these offices, Philippines, Thailand, that sort of thing. So anyway, I have pants. But yeah, I like to live in places where a common question of people that are coming over to them, a common question for packing is, do I need to bring pants? No. I mean, I wore pants one day when Gracie and I were in the Philippines over the last almost 2 months, our wedding. And I liked them. They're actually pretty cool pants. And I just rolled them up afterwards so that the mud wouldn't get on my beautiful white pants. But yeah, I always want to live in a place that says that you discuss it saying, if I go there, do I need to wear pants? Do I need to bring pants? No. The big fella that got fired, Mac Pro Press, dead Apple can't supply, replace. I get the money. Wait, what? Oh, it's the Mac Pro, not the MacBook Pro. Is that what you said? Hold on. Ah. So what's that then? because that's the desktop version, right? Sorry. So that would have been inside. Yeah, because you use the, what is it? EIA connector? Isn't that the standard connector that people use? You know, the sort of, I don't know, what would that be? Parallelogram, right? The 2 and then the 1, but it's got the angle. EI. ET Travel Freely. Hello. Good to see you. Thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it. Good to see you. Good night, sir, and everyone. Nearly 1 a.m. You're heading to bed. Early start. Sounds good. Awesome. I will get an early start tomorrow, actually. Right now it is 8:51 a.m. here, and I will probably leave here at about that time tomorrow on my taxi to the Thai embassy with my application for my business visa is 2 packets of 48 pages of documents. And that is actually a slimmed down version because I heard through our attorney for the company and got verification from the Thai embassy. Because as you know, if you've ever applied to these things, a lot of times they're like, oh, and we need photocopies of your passport, of every single page of your passport, including the blank ones. I have those at the ready, but what I believe they said is for me, I don't need copies of every single page, even though I'm showing up with that, just in case. But the packet that I need, because I need the business registration, the financials for the company, the owner/director of the company, his passport, his visa, and my flight that is taking me to Thailand. And it's a multiple year. Well, it's actually going to be a 90-day single entry business visa. And then at approximately 75 days, I then transfer that visa into a 2-year visa while I'm in Thailand. And that becomes a 2-year multiple entry B visa, which I'm very excited about. So anyway, I'm starting that process. And the nice thing about it is that with it, because it's through BOI, I get to roll in Gracie into a 2-year O visa dependent because she's my wife. So she will have a 2-year multiple entry O visa, long stay visa for Thailand, which I am very happy about. That's going to be that's a long time coming. I planned doing this 2 years ago. Thank you, COVID. Are my eyebrows too long? I don't know. I'm less kempt without my wife. I might have missed it, but are you going back to Thailand before your trip to the U.S.? Thank you for asking, Patrick. Yes. In fact, I'm doing that Saturday. And one of the reasons that I'm going back this early, if you will, meaning before Gracie, solo, couple of reasons. One, my business visa. I need to be in Thailand approximately 75 days because if I come in with a business visa and then I want to leave like half an hour later, they're like, well, why did you get this business visa to do business in Thailand if you're not going to be staying here? And I understand that, but one could argue, well, look, dude, the reason I get a business visa multiple entry for Thailand is because I'm doing business in Thailand, and Thailand is not gigantic. So I need to go outside of Thailand to bring business in, to do more business globally. And so, but that's not a good enough reasoning for them. And so they're like, look, if you come in on a business visa, the expectation is if you transfer this to your 2-year business visa from the 90-day entry, and that this is the very common paradigm for many people that get a B visa outside of the country. If you get a B visa inside the country because you're teaching English, that's a different story because it is the only profession, which is kind of sad. It's the only profession in Thailand where they do not have to pay you 50,000 baht per month as a foreigner. As a foreigner working in Thailand, you need to make a minimum salary of 50,000 baht, provided if you are not teaching English. If you're teaching English, they can totally lowball you. And it's a classic. He makes a minimum wage, but he works off tips, which is why they completely underpay all servers in the United States. But IEA, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. At Jim, watch later. Okie dokie, Pat. Have you, I don't know if you share this with others, MedTech, but this guy deadlifts hundreds of kilos. He's in great shape. I mean, you don't look at him and be like, okay, bodybuilder, sort of thing. I mean, he's got a very fit body, and I believe he's my age, maybe a little younger, maybe a little older. I don't know. I believe he's my age. He's our age, Chris. And but he's in really good shape. I mean, he really tones his body to be useful long term. And one could argue that I don't necessarily, because I'm like, every now and then he says, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Well, I'm having a Snickers bar, and a Coke Zero." "Good, Mike. I just lifted 85 kilos 10 times in each arm." "Oh, cool. I'm having a Snickers bar." So I'm heading back on Saturday, and I am so grateful to be doing that. Additionally, I'm an only child, and so therefore I grew up spending time by myself gratefully. I love spending time by myself. I am one of my own best friends. Gracie is my best friend, but I'm also one of my best friends. And I need time by myself to be able to be by myself. And so that will be a nice thing to be able to do. I also need time to go to the beach in Thailand and sit there and stare at my foot for 3 hours and just do a whole lot of nothing and just appreciate Thailand and my life for all that I get to do, and have a gratitude attack. And I may or may not publish it. I can tell you right now that normally I publish gratitude attacks when I was in Thailand, especially when I was by myself, really reflecting on it and being able to sort of take in everything without an additional piece of data, which is Gracie, which is awesome. I love getting her opinion and her vision of things, because the glasses that she looks through add value to my enjoyment of other things. I want to make sure I didn't get anything. Oh, wait, how are we doing here? Okay, cool. I get a smiley face from Marty. No big whoop. So what else we got here? The one with 28 cores, 176 gigs of RAM, and an Avid interface. 176 gigs of RAM. How does one purchase that? Because, let's see. How is that a multiple of 2? I get, obviously, 128 gigs of RAM. And to get to 176, you would add, so that would be what, 48? So you had, what do you have, a 128 gig stick and a 48 gig stick? Okay, I guess, okay. All right, sorry, buddy, I preempted. 128 makes sense all day long. I'll be in Thailand for a few weeks next month. Might have to grab a awesome, dude. Patrick, how do you get in touch with me if we're not, because I may not be streaming or whatever, but if you're going to be in the next few months, Mike's at livemyassoff.com. Shoot me an email, or find me on Facebook, Mike Somerville, or reach out to anybody here if you don't have my contact info. My line ID is Mike Shopping Mall. One word. If you've been to Pattaya and you know where Mike's Shopping Mall is, you know why that's funny. Wow, to be that fit again. Yeah, he allocates a lot of attention units to it, and I really honor him, and I'm really honored that he shares with me these successes and these videos, quite frankly, of him lifting these. It's not vain at all. It really motivates me. I hope you share those videos with other people. MedTech, they're pretty awesome. Hello, Paul. Paul, I do want to let you know that one of the way that I use Gmail, I know this is going to sound like a real big tangent, but it's not. It's me thanking you very much for what you did many months ago. Paul sent me an email with some information, with some suggestions, with some data that will allow me to hook into the YouTube API and the YouTube chat API, because they're two different things, and be able to take all of the chats that I see in my window over here and concatenate the names into a list such that at the end of my videos, when I am able to scroll a display and a thank you for all of the people that have chatted in here, not just the ones that have super chatted me. Thank you, Reef, by the way. But I want to be able to list every single person that chatted and say, thank you guys all for chatting. Paul provided me with that probably 2 years ago right now. Anyway, the way that I use Gmail is I use priority inbox. And so I have unread, and then I have starred. And you are still in the starred from an email that you sent me. Well, I can tell you right now when you send it to me right now. But anyway, Paul, thank you very much for doing that. It is not lost. I still keep it available. I will still use it. And in fact, Mariano You guys probably know Mariano. Mariano will be over here from Germany at some point. He and I have already committed to each other that we will get together. We will sit down because he is a world-class coder. We will use some of the code that you gave me, Chris. We will use some of the recommendations, the technical recommendations that you gave me, and we will be instantiating that plugin such that I can use it to thank all of you guys in a pretty mature way, other than just manually and forgetting people because I don't have, perfect memory. So with that, it is Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com saying, I hope you guys are living the dream. I hope you guys are comfortable in your own skin. I hope wherever you're watching this, you're safe and happy. And I hope that if you had any questions, I answered them. I hope that you will email me at mikes@livemyassoff.com if you have any questions or want to talk about anything or need me to provide you with any data and recommendations, as well as stress relievers related to the Thailand pass. That is not trivial. And I would submit to you, because of the unknowing time when you will receive the notification, all I can say to you is, if you are applying for the Thailand pass, then I'll leave it with this. If you're applying for the Thailand pass, do it as soon as you possibly can. If you're coming here 2 months from now, apply for the Thailand pass right now, make your reservation. Yes, next month you may not need a PCR test. Yes, next month you may not need to do a one-night quarantine. Yes, just do it now and let them provide it for you. Do not have the expectation that the Thai government, that the Thailand Pass organization inside of the council, basically, is going to drop everything and get you your Thailand Pass any sooner than 7 working days. Plan on that. I will tell you as an aside that they do work close to 24/7. They're working probably at least 12-hour days. They work on Saturday. They work on Sunday. I received my Thailand pass last night, which is our Saturday. Not only did I receive a message from them on Facebook Messenger Saturday, last night at 6:28 p.m. this time, so 5:28 p.m. yesterday. So one could argue, okay, it's 5:30 on Saturday. They're still working in Thailand. But nonetheless, it's a government office, and it was 5:28. I'm going to keep that. I then received my email at 6:28 p.m. from them saying, congratulations. Let's see. Can you guys see that? Thailand Pass system has approved your registration. Okay. So I applied for this. So I received my Thailand Pass. All right. I'm not going to end the stream right now. I'm going to go through a little bit more information because I want you guys to be able to live the best life possible. So I applied for my Thailand Pass. I registered at 8:23. I'll do it in Thailand time. 7:23 p.m. 7:23 a.m. Tuesday, March 15th. So I applied for my Thailand Pass Tuesday, and I received my Thailand Pass Saturday, approximately 5.5 days later. Okay. It was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay. So it was 4 working days along with an additional Saturday, which was 36 hours. Okay. So anyway, I don't know if this improved the speed or got it to me faster than normally would happen, but as the process of reserving my hotel, I did that through tp.in.th. I also went to aq.in.th and reserved my hotel with instant confirmation, which included the 1 RT-PCR test and the 1 ATK test that I need to take 5 days later. Included all of that and the hotel and the, an SHA plus hotel. So I get 2 meals, actually 3 meals, because, 2 meals, but I get there early. So they actually also give me breakfast because it's a Holiday Inn Express, and I'm an IHG member, and I'm going to get IHG points for staying there. Thank you very much, IHG. Big fan of Intercontinental Hotels Group. Basically 5.5 days. Anyone who is coming over here, all I can say is apply for your Thailand Pass 2 weeks ahead of time if you can. 10 working days if you can. 10 full days if you can. 7 working days at the absolute latest. And the only reason I say this is not because it's going to take them that long. But if you do that, then hopefully you will remove any potential stress from your life as you wait for this thing to show up. Because there will be many reports on many groups for Facebook, not the least of which is basically the Facebook group that you join once you apply for Thailand Pass. It gives you a link to this, and there's people in there sharing their stories. Some of these people get really, really lucky and get their Thailand Pass. They say, oh, I got mine in 3 hours. Okay, well, you're awesome, and you're like the king's brother. Congratulations. You're an awesome person. You're cooler than I am. And then there are other people that like, oh, my God, it's been 15 days, and I still haven't gotten mine. You will then hear a bunch of people, read a bunch of people saying, I emailed these 3 emails the minute that I uploaded all my stuff. I communicated to them on this Facebook group and asked them to approve my Thailand Pass. I gave them this information in my Thailand Pass, my registration number, my passport number, and the email that I used. I gave them these 3 things, and that allowed me to get my Thailand Pass faster. Okay, I did those things. I have no idea whether that increased the speed with which they turned around my registration, my Thailand Pass acceptance. I can tell you, though, that having got it on a Saturday night, I'm not flying to Thailand until basically Friday night because it's like 1 a.m. Saturday. So basically Friday. I definitely needed to have it by Friday. Otherwise, I was going to freak out. But I got mine effectively a week before I'm leaving, which makes me feel great. But one could argue it only makes me feel great because I was inducing self-induced stress on my life by saying, oh my God, I haven't gotten my Thai Pass yet. And it's still a week ahead of time. I still have a week to go and I haven't gotten my Thailand Pass yet. As I shared earlier, Gracie and I are early people. We get there early. I get 3 hours ahead of time. I get there 4 hours ahead of time. Gracie and I have an appointment at 10 o'clock. I'm there at 9:30. If you're on time, you're late is what I learned a long time ago from one of my mentors. And I get to places early. I print out things early. I have all of my documents printed that I needed for my appointment Monday morning at the Thai embassy. I had all of those printed before I left. Iloilo, before I got to the airport, before I got to Manila. And I still printed out extra stuff yesterday just in case. I have 2 copies of absolutely everything. I just, so I do this. So because I do this and because I believe I'm successful by doing this, then I instantiate self-induced stress when I don't get stuff ahead of time. Anyway, if you have any questions, if you want to stay in touch, if you want to hang out, if you want to buy Chris and I a smoothie, because Chris is Tito Chris. I'm Tito Mike. And with that, I hope you're living the dream. Because if you're not living the dream, you're doing it wrong. Mike's at livemyassoff.com. I'll talk to you guys soon. Ciao.